Hey, I'm Stephanie, and welcome to Wine Club. This is a place where I drink good wine while I whine about bad books. And today's offender is unfortunately Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica, and I do apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. I did check Instagram to see how other people pronounced it. That was the pronunciation I heard, so I'm going with it. But again, apologies if that is incorrect. And I would also like to shout out my glass that I am using. So it's my Wild Women Wine glass from here in Denver. I think now they're called like Colorado Wine Tours or something. But when I used to know them, it was Wild Women Wine. So I felt it was appropriate. Unfortunately, the wine is not Wild Women Wine. They also make their own wine. This is a Malbec, Pinot Noir, and Syrah blend, but I felt like the glass at least went with the book that I'm reading. So I do want to give a warning. There are going to be spoilers in this review, as well as some shit talking. So if that is not your varietal, you probably will not like this video. If you do want a spoiler-free version of this review, please check out my What I Read in March video. And I also want to say that this review is solely about the book and not about the author as a person. I'm sure Kubica is absolutely lovely, but let's go ahead and see what this promised. People don't just disappear without a trace. Shelby Thibault is the first to go missing. Then, Meredith Dickey and her 6-year-old daughter Delilah vanish just blocks away from where Shelby was last seen, striking fear into their once peaceful community. After an elusive search that yields more questions than answers, the case eventually goes cold. Now, 11 years later, Delilah shockingly returns. Everyone wants to know what happened to her, but no one is prepared for what they'll find. And some people will stop at nothing to keep the truth buried. Okay, so this premise is intriguing. Sounds great. Where are these women and this one little girl, Delilah? How did Delilah escape? What happened? All of those mysteries have terrible fucking resolutions. So this book starts off with Shelby, a new mother who is cheating on her husband, as one does, but who is also mad because her husband is cheating on her as well. But she goes for a run at 10 p.m. Secretly, she's meeting her lover. And then it's alluded that like a car runs right over and smushes her. Who's behind the wheel? Who would want Shelby dead? You have to wait. So then we move right along into nightmare fuel as we meet an older Delilah who went missing when she was 6. She has been trapped in this rank, darkened basement by a crazy couple who rarely feed her, bathe her, or treat her with any sort of humanity. Why do they have her? That's a great question. And don't you worry, there are so many questions that are kind of just left unanswered in this. Well, I guess we do get an answer to the last one, at least, but it's also so stupid and does not serve the story at all. I don't hate this book whatsoever. So okay, we go from the prologue of Shelby straight into Delilah, and Delilah is living this miserable existence. She really wants to escape. She knows that there's more out there, and more so she doesn't want another kid, Gus, that's also trapped with her, to spend his entire life in this nasty-ass basement. She spends weeks turning like a spoon into a knife, like by sharpening it slowly over time, and then attacks the man of the couple as he's kind of the nicer one of the two and has his guard down a little bit. So Delilah grabs Gus in the dark and gets them both outside. They run through the woods and unfortunately get separated. Delilah is able to find the shed and hides in like a trash can or something. She hides somewhere, and basically the man comes into the shed, but he doesn't see her. She spends the night there and then begins wandering through the woods until some woman spots her and then calls the police when Delilah tells her, "I'm Delilah Dickey." Sure you are, sweetie. So then the character Josh, who is Delilah's dad, and Leo, her brother, rush to the hospital to identify her and bring her home. They're waiting on a DNA test, but Josh is just so happy to have his daughter home. Understandable, makes sense. He wasn't quite sure what happened to her 11 years ago when she disappeared, but her mom did leave a note behind saying that Delilah was going to be safe before her mom took her own life. Supposedly. So Meredith, Delilah's mom, apparently checked into some nasty-ass motel and then stabbed herself after leaving a note for Josh or the police or just basically anyone who was going to check up on this. It's at this point that the book starts flipping through time. So we have the present timeline told in Leo's point of view, which honestly did not do much for me, but was needed for one very specific reveal about Delilah at about the 80% mark. How fun. So we have Leo dealing with the return of his sister and his angsty teen emotions around it. And to be fair to him, that would be really tough. He'll never be as important in his father's eyes as the child who went missing. Leo has truly felt neglected and relegated to Delilah's shadow while also figuring out how to deal with the loss of his mom. But he also fell pretty flat as a character, if I'm being honest. Cheers to you, Leo. So then we have the two past timelines. Yes, we have two. We have March and May, both 11 years ago. So March's timeline is mostly told by Meredith as it leads up to her disappearance, and then May is from her neighbor Kate's point of view when Meredith herself ends up going missing, as well as Delilah. And this was my first big problem with the book, because I have a real problem with Kate. When we're first introduced to Kate, she is so timid and scared. Truly, the first interaction we have with her is someone is ringing her doorbell or knocking on the door, and she is shaking in her boots over answering the door. Who could it be? I don't know. Kate, how about you open the door and find out? You are an adult. She is so scared and defaults to her partner, B, to take charge of everything. I think I might have even tabbed it because I was so annoyed how long it took her. Okay, so on page 53, it starts with Kate, 11 years before, May. There's a knock at the door. It's loud and insistent. It's after 9 o'clock at night. So that's page 54. Or page 53, sorry. We go on and on and on. Page 55 is when she opens the door. We have her talking for 3 whole pages before she even opens the door about how scared she is to open this. She's trying to get her girlfriend's attention. I continue to flicker the backyard light, but B doesn't notice because the door to the garage is closed. The only window is in the attic portion of the garage, where B doesn't go. It comes again then, the same insistent battering on the heavy wood. My teeth clench, my shoulders tense. I tell myself that it's nothing to worry about. B is the more bold of us. If she were here, she would answer the door unflinchingly. But without B, I force myself to be an adult, to go to the front door and open it up. Zeus, their cat, is on the bottom step when I come into the hall. He runs upstairs at the sound of another knock to hide. An incompetent guard cat. You're an incompetent human being. You can't answer the door when someone is knocking? My God, Kate. But then it gets worse because once the story starts moving along, Kate is suddenly investigating people and thinks that she knows who killed Shelby. As at this point in the story, Shelby's body has already been found, and goes to confront this guy. I'm sorry, this woman who can't even figure out who's knocking at her door is suddenly all brave and able to be like, ha, I will suss out the killer. This woman who quakes like a leaf when the doorbell rings is going to go to the work of the person she thinks is a killer and question him and think that, Well, surely he'll let something slip. I should have brought the bottle upstairs because I'm going to need a lot more of this. Like her girlfriend B, I could actually understand. She is a take charge kind of gal. But Kate is a moron. I seriously had to stop reading because I was laughing. And then I had to read this part out loud to my husband because I could just not believe that this was in a published book by a woman author. Okay, so at this point, Kate thinks that Shelby's doctor, or OBGYN, is the one who murdered her. And so she sets up this plot of like, I'm going to pretend I'm pregnant and like, I want to meet with Dr. Feingold. Yeah, Dr. Feingold. So she makes this whole appointment, even though she's not pregnant. But so she goes into the doctor's office, page 198. The nurse takes my vitals. She asks for information, like the date of my last menstrual period, which I know because I did my research and knew that this is something she would ask. I give a fabricated date, one that would make sense with me being newly pregnant, approximately 5 or 6 weeks along. At her request, I go to the bathroom and leave a urine sample. Are you a regular ass woman? At every single doctor's appointment I have ever been to, they ask the start date of my last period because there are some things they can't do if they think I am pregnant. This is not something they only ask if they think you are pregnant. Every single physical, they ask the first start date of my last period so they can track it and make sure that everything is normal. This is not some secret question that they only ask women who they think are pregnant. Has Kate truly never had a well woman exam ever? You expect me to believe that this woman thinks that she got one over on the nurse by looking up the questions they're going to ask, when that's a standard ass question that they ask as a woman. You want me to take Kate seriously? I can't. Because she can't answer her fucking door, but thinks that, she got one over on the doctor by figuring out what he's going to ask. They ask it at every doctor's appointment. This is not a secret. Like, have you never been to a doctor before, Kate? I could not believe that made it to print because I'm like, if you're a woman, they're always going to wonder about your period. Like, I'm sorry, that's just the thing that happens. So Kate thinks that this doctor killed Shelby and then took Meredith because Shelby was suing the doctor for malpractice as he caused some serious damage to her daughter when she was born, and Meredith was also in the room because she was Shelby's doula. So again, prologue starts Shelby being mowed down by some car. Now we think that, and then Meredith goes missing, so we think that, it's this Dr. Feingold. He's coming after these ladies to stop this lawsuit. So Kate goes and thinks she's going to get the mean doctor to crack and basically reveal that it was him all along in like one ultrasound appointment. He does not fall for her trap, as intelligent as it was. And then B is pissed that Kate, her girlfriend, would put herself in danger this way and basically says, like, you need to let the police do their job. So then they head on home, and throughout the entire book, this town is like having this storm of biblical proportions. Kate can barely see 2 feet in front of her because the rain is so heavy, but then she realizes, hey, someone might be tailing her and following her. Do we ever find out who's following her? Of course we don't. It doesn't matter. It's nothing. It's added to make the scene more tense, but never explained. How fun. I love it. So let's back up a bit, as Meredith's timeline is, again, in March 11 years ago, before Kate's May 11 years ago. So Meredith is a doula and loves her work, but also doesn't need to work. Her husband makes enough to support their entire family. It's interesting because there is an entire subplot with Leo, so Meredith's son and Delilah's brother, and he is being bullied at the daycare that they use. Meredith herself sees the bruises on his body, and she still sends him there so she can go to work. When she drops him off at daycare, he is crying and obviously hates going there, But no, Leo, mommy can't deal with your needs right now. I've got to go to work, even though we don't really need it. Like, I understand you want to have your passion projects, but like, you saw bruises on your son and you don't take him out of this daycare? Like, Mother of the Year, ladies and gentlemen. But, oh no, Meredith starts getting texts from a number she doesn't know, and they're all cryptic and stolen straight out of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Someone is onto her. They know her secrets, and she should be ashamed of herself. I'm not going to drag this out like the book does. It is not connected to the main mystery whatsoever. It's Meredith's neighbor, Cassandra, who found out that in college, Meredith and Cassandra's husband dated, and then when they met up again years later, didn't really tell anyone that they knew each other. They played it off like complete strangers meeting for the first time. Is it a shitty lie by omission? For sure. But also, it's not like they met up again and started sleeping together. They just didn't want to cause any strife with the group. There are no feelings there except for friendly platonic ones. But Cassandra took all this time to scare Meredith by going out and getting a burner phone and then sending these texts, which mean nothing. I repeat, how fun. So now at this point, we actually get to the main event, Shelby's death, which ends up being an accident. So it's Bee's birthday, and she ends up driving drunk, which, PSA, an Uber is always more affordable and a smarter choice than a DUI or an accident. But Bee chooses no. She drives home from a bar with Meredith in tow because they were all at the same restaurant, and Meredith's husband ended up driving Kate home. So Meredith and Bee were hanging out, drinking, having a good night, and then Bee decides to drive home and mows Shelby down as she's waiting for her lover. But then it gets worse because she mows her down, they know they hit something, and then Bee just backs the car back up over whatever she thought she hit. It's not funny, but it kind of is how Bee just decides that after hitting something, she might as well hit it again going the other way. Like, maybe stop the car and see what's under it and see what you hit. So then Bee just snaps into psycho mode and tells Meredith that she is not going to prison over this. They're just going to get rid of Shelby's body. No problem. Like, she strong arms Meredith into helping her move Shelby and covering up the accident. She even takes Shelby's clothes so she can use them to then frame Shelby's husband for this murder. Obviously, Meredith is a normal human being and is sick over what she has done. Bee is just fine and dandy, which kind of felt really strange because Bee seems a bit stoic and able to handle a crisis, but at this point she becomes like a stone cold killer. Like, Meredith even offers to say that I'm the one who was driving us home. She will take the fall for this death, but obviously Bee is not going to go for it because they covered it up. And Meredith, like an idiot, tells Bee while they're alone, I'm going to go to the police. I'm going to tell them what's up. Ma'am, you saw Bee pull Shelby's surely broken and bloody body off of the asphalt and think that she is going to see reason? Why? Why on earth would you tell her that your plans were going to get her in trouble? You cannot be this stupid. But she is. Because of course Bee isn't going to go to prison for this. So she clobbers Meredith with a hammer and then drives her to the seedy motel and makes her leave the note about Delilah being okay. Bee obviously then kills Meredith to continue to cover up her killing of Shelby, and then kidnaps Delilah for herself. And yes, we will get to it because I have some gripes with this reveal. First, the forensic team, the detectives, and the medical examiner in this town need to be fired immediately. How in the hell can Meredith have what would surely be a skull fracture after being hit in the head with a hammer and stabbed without a knife in her hand or at an angle that she would not do, and yet they claim that she took her own life? It is ruled as a schmuicide? Like, get the fuck right out of here. That's not how this works. And so then we find out that B took Delilah. So you are telling me that in 11 fucking years, B and Kate never went on vacation? Kate never went into B's studio looking for something? Kate never saw Delilah hanging out on her property? Delilah never tried making contact with her dad or brother who are like across the street? B was able to keep Delilah in her music studio this entire time. What was her long-term plan here? Fuck if I know. So yeah, Delilah has been right there the entire time. So I'm sure you're asking yourself, what about the girl that Josh and Leo brought home? She's not Delilah. The cop lied about the DNA test as she just wanted to see Josh happy. So she lied. She said, oh, yep, this is definitely your daughter. So fake Delilah's parents are still looking for their child? Fake Delilah's name is actually Carly. And that crazy couple that kidnapped them at the beginning just told her, hey, this is who you are. So they showed her newspaper clippings and told her that she was Delilah. Why would they do this, you ask? Because they wanted notoriety. They wanted media coverage, attention, and to strike fear in the nation. They were copycat criminals. Seriously, it says that they wanted the same notoriety as Delilah's captor. Except B, no one knew it was B. It was a mystery as to what happened to Delilah. There's no notoriety there. They don't know what happened to this little girl. So you're telling me that they kidnapped another little girl and like told her that she is Delilah? And then the real Delilah just heads on home with her brother and dad and is completely fine. Okay, book, whatever you say. Oh, and that's why we got Leo's point of view for the entire book, for this one reveal. Except, he's not even the one who figures out that fake Delilah is fake Delilah. So there's this girl, Piper, who was friends with Delilah when they were little. And she was looking through photos and saw that young Delilah has this cleft chin. Older Delilah doesn't. That's not something that goes away. That's genetics. Whoever is with Leo and Josh isn't the real Delilah. Good detective work, Piper. But I have to ask, how young was Carly when she was kidnapped then? She says she thinks Josh is her dad because they told him she was. But if she was the same age as Delilah when she went missing, that means she was 6. You're 6 years old. Do you not remember your real father? Like, do you not remember your real dad? It makes no sense. Like, sure, my memories from when I'm 6 are a little fuzzy, but I still have some pretty vivid memories. My earliest memory is probably from, like, my 4th birthday, because I got this stuffed animal that I absolutely fucking love. Like, he's still in my bedroom because I love it so much. Even at, like, 4 years old, I would be able to tell who was my real dad and not, no matter what these crazy people are telling me. It just makes no sense. And honestly, it's these, like, twists and reveals that really brought down the rating for me. I do want to say that this is a fine popcorn thriller, but the ending of this is laughably bad. So I am going to give credit that I think this book is a super fast read, especially compared to the slower book that I read right before this. And that's kind of because this is the exact opposite of the other book I read right before this. That writing was like flowy, and this is fucking basic. Minus the content this contains, I think a small child could read this book. The sentences are very, see Jane run, see Dick run. Dick throws a ball. Jane runs after it. The writing in this is atrocious for a traditionally published book. I started tabbing things because I could not with this writing. Okay, so on page 54, her phone lies on the counter beside my glass of wine. From the kitchen window, I look out into the backyard, where it's dark and raining. The rain pours down from the sky, a sudden blitz. I have trouble seeing out the window because of the rain. It hasn't stopped raining for days. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. I'm not the only one who's contemplated building an ark. Even B, the more even-keeled of us, has contemplated building an ark. Severe flooding is expected, and every day of the week calls for more rain. Rivers have overflowed their banks, wreaking havoc. The grocery store parking lot is a swimming pool. Roads are impassable, and some of the schools have been closed. There's footage on the news of canoes in town not far from ours, paddling down the middle of the street. Gee, is it raining? I can't tell. What is this writing? And I've already read her trying to figure out how to answer the door. So let me see, what's next? Read that. So on page 250, again, Kate the dumbass, she gets home. I let myself into the house alone, slipping past the workers. They don't stop what they're doing, but I see their gazes fall to me out of the corner of their eyes. Their conversation, spoken in some other language that I don't speak, goes on. I don't know what they're saying. No shit, you don't speak their language, so you can't understand what they're saying? Oh my God. And then on page 268, so before the accident killing Shelby. So at Josh's suggestion, we slide Kate and B's table closer to ours, making it a table for 4 instead of 2 for 2. It dampens the mood. It doesn't kill it. The pining I feel will still be there an hour from now. Drinks arrive for Kate and B. Kate offers up a toast. For B. It's B's birthday. Today, B is 30 years old. They came to celebrate. Glasses rise up above the tabletop. Someone clinks too hard, and sticky liquid spills over the edge of a glass and onto our hands. Laughter ensues. Kate scrambles for napkins, apologizing. What is this writing? What is this writing? Because this writing is bad. This reads like a first draft that made its way through an editor into the printer. Like, I get what you're going for here, but like everything is like this. Oh God, it's such a terrible writing style. And honestly, by the end, this book is just messy. There were so many red herrings and plot points that felt like they're supposed to be part of the main mystery. But no, they're just coincidental plot points or side quests that ultimately mean nothing. Cool. Thanks for wasting my time. Like the whole Kate pretending to be pregnant and like investigating the doctor means nothing. The car chase through the rain means nothing. The menacing text to Meredith, it's not tied to the main mystery at all. Shelby's cheating has nothing to do with why she died. Leo being bullied and beaten at this daycare, resolved in one line and has nothing to do with anything. Gus, freaking Gus from the beginning of the book, who Delilah made sure to save, apparently he is just a figment of Carly's imagination. What? Why? It's just fluff meant to distract us, but it does not distract me from my annoyance with this entire book. I'm also annoyed, surprise, surprise, that no one really solves anything. Leo has to have his hand held through the Delilah reveal by Piper, and then when Delilah, I don't even think she's actually confronted with it. I think she just decides to run away for reasons unknown, and then the cops stumble across the real Delilah. There's no major aha moment. It's just absolute sheer dumb luck that the mysteries get solved and that we have a point of view in the past to see who actually killed Meredith. Oh my god, this book made me so mad. I ended up giving this 2 out of 5 stars. Now, I will say, I was not hate reading this at the end, but this does not make me eager to check out other works by Kubica. I didn't hate this as much as another reviewer on Goodreads, but I do want to read her review because it is hilarious. So a Goodreads reviewer named Rachel Morell, she shared, "It's not often that I actively despise a book so much that I wish I were less literate, but wow, this one crawled out of the depths of hell to snag this accomplishment." Now, I will say I do have Kubica's She's Not Sorry on my to-be-read shelf, and I'm obviously going to eventually read it because I already have it here in my house, but I'm really not excited for it now. Unless you tell me in the comments that it's actually amazing, and then maybe I will get to it this summer. Otherwise, it's looking like a 2026 read, so I can completely wash this out of my memory. But if you do have any recommendations for thrillers about missing women and unraveling an actual good mystery, I would absolutely love to hear about those recs. Please drop me a comment. Otherwise, thanks for joining me at Wine Club.